Hi guys, it's me Annie and I'm back with another video. Welcome to Annie's Creations. Today I'm in my kitchen and I'm going to be baking some Karringmelk Beskuit, also known as Buttermilk Rusks. Buttermilk Rusks are quite easy to bake and I hope you enjoy this recipe, and I will link it in the description box down below if you want to give it a try for yourself. So without further ado, let's get baking. For this recipe, you will need 1 kilogram of self-raising flour. I put this in the mixing bowl for the stand mixer, and then you are just going to add all the ingredients to the flour. So this is 1 kg of self-raising flour. To it, I'm going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar, just normal white sugar. To that, I'm just going to add a pinch of salt. Then you are going to need 25 milliliters of cooking oil. Add 1 egg, and I have 250 grams of room temperature softened butter. Now I've got 500 milliliters or 2 cups of buttermilk. Now that you've got all your ingredients inside your mixing bowl, it's time to start mixing. Start the mixing on a very slow setting at first, and then you can increase as the mixture becomes thicker. As the mixture starts to combine, I'm going to remove the lid so that I can scrape the sides when I'm mixing. I have removed the covering plate, but as this mixture is a little bit thick, I think it best for me to remove the paddle plate and replace it with the dough hook. I think the dough hook will do a better job at mixing this thick dough. Now we will continue mixing. want to keep mixing until you can see that all the butter is incorporated into the flour and that everything is mixed in very well. So continue mixing until everything is combined. Every once in a while you want to stop and scrape the sides. If you are mixing this dough by hand with a spoon, you might want to use your hands to rub the butter into the batter, but it will be a bit sticky. But mix it as well as you can because you really want this mixture to be well incorporated. Now that I've scraped the sides, I'm gonna continue mixing. Now my dough is nicely mixed. Just a little tip for you, make sure your butter is very soft, else it will take a long time to mix it into the batter. So just make sure it is very soft. My butter was a little bit still too hard and it took me quite a while to get it mixed in. I've got this pan and I'm going to spray it with cooking spray so that the batter don't stick to the pan. Now I'm just going to pour all the batter onto the pan. Now that all your batter is in the pan, you're just going to press it down to spread it out to all the corners. To help spread it out into an even layer, I'm using my rolling pin. But you can just use your hands if that's what you prefer. Now that the dough is nicely spread out over my pan, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to use this cutter because it makes the job really easy. But if you don't have a cutter like this, you can always use a knife. Now the rusk is nicely cut, I'm ready to bake it in my oven. I preheated my oven to 180 degrees Celsius and I'm going to bake it for 45 minutes until the rusks are golden brown on top. The rusks are out of the oven and they are beautifully golden brown. These rusks baked for about 35 minutes. So it's important to keep an eye on them because the recipe said it needs to bake for 45 minutes, but because my oven is a little bit warmer, it baked only for 35 minutes. So keep an eye on your rusks while baking and check it from about 30 minutes onwards to make sure it doesn't burn. I am going to run a knife through the seams so that I can just separate the rusks out, and then I will be placing them on a cooling rack. This cooling rack I will place in a very low oven for about 4 to 5 hours for the rusks to dry out. So first let's get cutting. The rusks cut very easily because I did cut it before baking it. So it's just a matter of separating them. And the pan has cooled, so I can touch it with my hand. But it's best to separate the rusks out while they are still a little bit warm. Now that the rusks are loose from one another, I can just scoop them out. I'm going to use my spatula just to lift the rusks out of the pan. And I will place them on the cooling rack. I will place the rusks on the cooling rack before I'm going to place it in the oven, and this will make it easier for the rusks to dry completely. I'm placing the rusks with a little bit of space so that it dries evenly in the oven. I spaced all my rusks apart and they are now ready to go in a low oven of 120 degrees for 4 to 5 hours so that they dry out completely. The rusks are now in a low oven of 120 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to leave it to dry for 4 to 5 hours to make sure they are completely dried. I'm going to leave my oven door open with my glove just to make sure there's some airflow. So it's just open a smidge, like you can see. The buttermilk rusks are now out of the oven and I let them dry for 4 hours at 120 degrees Celsius placing the oven mitten in the door so it's just a smidge of a little bit open so the airflow could move through. And that helped the rust dry extremely quickly, and that is a trick that I'm going to do every time now. I can show you the rusk is golden brown on top. It's nice and dry and crisp and hard, so ready for dipping and eating. Enjoy these rusks with a nice cup of coffee. Now I have a large container full of Buttermilk Rusks, aka Karringmelk Beskuit, but I promise you this container won't last long. Good morning everybody, it's the next day and it's bright and early, and I got up and made myself a nice cup of coffee. Now with my coffee, I am going to enjoy this beautiful buttermilk rusk. There's nothing better than a nice cup of coffee and a buttermilk rusk for my mommy minute in the morning. Thank you for spending time with me in the kitchen today, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you give it a go baking some buttermilk rusks, aka Karringmelk Beskuit, for yourself and your family today. So this is all I have for you today, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.